You
Right.
need to use him as a middle reliever. You need to send him down and have him do a stint like Kershaw did. But you cannot close with Tanner Scott.
Okay.
I don't care what Bergman or anybody. Bergman's fallback line on this is they don't have anybody else. They called up 2 pitchers from the minors.
Right.
I would have put Kike into pitch before Tanner
I mean,
Scott.
I don't know anything, and I don't know if you know anything about, what's this guy's name? This guy's name that they called up.
I don't care. Put him in.
Ryan Lotus.
Put Ryan Lotus in.
Anybody got the book on Ryan Lotus?
White Lotus, Black Lotus, Ryan Lotus.
How
Put
about,
any of the Lotuses
how about
in.
Will Klein, who they plucked off the Seattle
Ezra
roster?
Klein, Will Klein,
Ezra Klein.
Robert Klein, any Klein before Tanner Scott.
So before we get to Tanner, let's say Jack Dreyer, 2 innings, excellent. Excellent. Lou Trevino, 1 inning, excellent. Then they go to Tanner Scott. Now, they could have gone to one of these completely unproven guy, non-name brand guys, and probably it would have turned out better than it did. Because Tanner Scott, as you mentioned, in the last 7 games, hitters are batting over 400 against him.
He
over
can't
400.
get anyone out. Now, I'm not saying that he can't work through this, but he shouldn't work through it with a runner on second base in the top of the 10th inning. It's stupid.
Could not agree more on this with you. You've got to use Tanner Scott when it's 9-1 and you got the
him as
lead.
an opener.
Pitch him in the 4th, pitch him in the 5th.
Use him like you have bullpen games.
I
Use him
don't
as an
even want
opener.
to pitch him as an opener. Why start the game behind? I say throw him when you're down 8-3. Stick him in the 5th. You know, that's the kind of thing you do with Tanner Scott. Well, he tries to work it out. Now the good news, John. You want the good news?
Sure.
Michael Kopech expected to be activated for tonight.
I don't think I'm making my case clear enough. I would have put you on the mound before I would have put in Tanner Scott.
Well, you should see my sweeper.
I would have let one of these guys
Right.
pitch with their offhand
Right.
before I would put in Tanner
Yeah,
Scott.
I get it.
I remember the old Huey Lewis song, Trouble in Paradise? I've seen this movie and it don't end nice. We got trouble in paradise. The Dodgers are a great team. They're probably going back to the World Series. But you cannot, when we've seen Tanner Scott for the last 2 weeks, in a period under which you cut bait on Austin Barnes.
Yeah.
You cut bait on Chris Taylor.
Sure.
You're not afraid to make hard decisions. I don't care that he's your highest paid reliever. It doesn't It doesn't mean anything
Here's my
if
question.
he can't get anybody out.
Now, I was excited, I think. Was I excited when they signed Tanner Scott?
With good reason.
I think I was.
He was great for the Padres last year.
But he's such not an Andrew Friedman. Andrew Friedman paid $70 million for a bullpen guy. Bullpen guys go up and down. Tanner Scott was great last year. Now he's terrible. I don't know why they didn't invest in, by the way, you could have had Kenley Jansen here, who's actually closing really well for the Angels.
Although I would have put him in before Tanner Scott.
Don't you want a guy that can convert a save? This guy's got 2 losses and 3 blown saves in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. And by the way, this excuse that people like Bergman make, they don't have anyone else. They don't have any other options. BS.
Right. They do have options, but they are completely...
They don't have great options.
Right.
I'm aware of that.
They got a guy that got cut by Seattle or they gave up on, and a guy they called up, Lotus from Oklahoma City. I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen them pitch, so I don't know anything about them. Tanner Scott, it was a weird place to use him. But, I mean, I kind of agree with Bergman that they're somewhat limited. Now, Kopech comes back tonight. Kirby Yates probably by the end of the week. It's going to be a very, very different bullpen by the time we get to the weekend.
If they put Tanner Scott back in the game tonight in the 8th or 9th inning, I'm turning the game off. I know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think they will, because Dave Roberts came out last night and said he's going to play matchups. When you say
who does Tanner Scott match up well against?
Well, no. Here's the thing: if you say you're playing matchups, it means your closer's terrible.
Yeah.
In other words, you have
or
to,
you don't have one.
You have to use them in spots where you see a couple of lefties maybe in the middle of the lineup in the middle of the game, but not at the end of the game. As of right now, you've got to move on from Tanner Scott, John. I could not agree with you more. And hopefully Michael Kopech
by the way, they
becomes
brought
the
him
closer.
in a situation where he had to pitch to all of the best Mets hitters.
Right.
He had to pitch Lindor. He had to pitch to Jeff McNeil. He had to pitch to Soto.
Yeah.
I mean, in what world do you say, oh, There's the 3 best hitters on the Mets. I know, Tanner Scott.
Right.
What are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult...
Very rare brain cramp from Dave, who, as you guys know, I love.
Yeah, I'm on both sides of this because I do think he's got very limited options. I don't know who this Lotus guy is, and I don't know the guy that they got from Seattle. Anthony Bonda didn't pitch last night. That's somebody.
He had pitched the night before. He may have been unavailable.
So they're not able to use him. They really are. They were in a stuck spot. I guess they could have gone with a completely unproven guy that hasn't thrown in the big leagues.
Or they could have. I mean, they've been doing weird stuff with their rotations all year. Put a starter in.
Yeah, I don't think they're on a 6-game. I don't think they're doing that. I don't think the 6-day rotation. I don't think they're going to mess with the starting pitching. Given the fact that the starting pitching is a mess. You can't go to a starter.
Cannot tell me that was their only option. It was not.
No, they could have gone. They could have gone to a guy that hasn't pitched in the major leagues.
Right, which would have been better than Tanner Scott, who has pitched in the major leagues, and we know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
He is broken. Until he's fixed, don't put him in high-leverage situations. This isn't rocket science.
Well, and I think Dave basically acknowledged he's not going to.
Good.
When he says he's playing matchups, that means...
That's code for no more Tanner Scott?
Code for nope, we're using somebody else.
Good.
And by the way, Michael Kopech, who had a $1.13 ERA down the stretch after he came over from the White Sox this year, he's a little bit wild. He throws the ball 100 miles an hour. That's the guy I want to see in a save situation. Kirby Yates, who proved to be successful as a closer multiple times during his career, would have been a great spot there for him. He's expected back by the end of the week. So there are guys that are coming.
And I was in that text chain with Bergman, you may have noticed, Dave had a couple of brain cramps late. Why was Conforto ever at the plate?
Well, he did pinch hit for him. I think it was just gamesmanship, right? I mean, for whatever it's worth, he was never going to hit.
I think he forgot.
You're right. No, I don't think.
Then why have him walk up to the box?
Gamesmanship, because he was going to change pitchers.
But he did.
He did change. But if you send him up there late, maybe he doesn't make the change. I mean, I don't know. It's gamesmanship. He was never going to not hit. He was never going to not hit.
My guess is, Will Smith's great with runners in scoring position, but he had said before the game that Mookie was available as a pinch hitting role and then didn't use him.
Yeah. I do. And Mookie, by the way, is expected back tonight. So that's good news. But, ref lost last night. It was right there. They scrapped all the way back, and then Tanner Scott effed it up. All right, we're going to spin the wheel of questions coming up next. In the meantime, I was driving in today really fast because I got a late start. And I used the sport mode on my Hyundai Elantra. Zoom, zoom, zoom.